I still remember the sound of her heels fading down the terminal. Sharp, cold, final. She didn't even look back, just waved her manicured hand and said, "You'll figure it out." 15 years old, one suitcase, one-way ticket to nowhere. I watched her walk toward the gate, her new husband's arm wrapped around her waist, his kids bouncing ahead like they owned my mother. The announcement called her flight to Santorini. She smiled, not at me, but at him. That's when I realized I wasn't part of her vacation. I was part of her cleanup. It hadn't always been that way. When I was 8, she used to brush my hair and say I was her miracle, the child she almost didn't get to have. We'd sit by the window, watch planes, and she'd whisper, "Someday we'll travel the world together." But the day she met Mark, the investment banker with the fake tan and real money, those whispers turned into silence. I saw it in how she laughed differently, softer, careful, like she was auditioning for a richer life, one that didn't include me. At first I told myself I was imagining it. Then came the dinners I wasn't invited to, the weekends for adults only, the slow replacement, me with his daughter, Olivia. She even gave her my old piano. When she booked the family vacation, I thought maybe this was her way of making it up to me, until the ticket agent said, "Sorry, miss, this seat was never paid for." She didn't deny it. She just looked at me with that impatient sigh, the one that meant I was an inconvenience she'd outgrown. "You're old enough to figure it out," she said. Then she left. I didn't cry, not at first. Tears felt useless in a place where everyone was coming or going, and I had nowhere to do either. So I found a bench, pulled out the emergency phone she'd given me, and stared at one contact I'd never used. Dad. I hadn't seen him since I was 6. He wasn't a saint. He'd left after their brutal divorce, but at least he never pretended to be something he wasn't. I dialed. He answered on the first ring. I didn't even get the words out. He just said, "Where are you?" 2 hours later, a private jet taxied in, the kind you only see in movies. When the door opened, there he was, older, colder, but with eyes that softened when they saw me. "I'm here now," he said. The next few years were quiet. He enrolled me in a Swiss boarding school, paid for everything. But more than that, he taught me about people, about money, about revenge disguised as success. He said, the best revenge isn't destruction, it's redefinition. So I redefined myself. While she was posting filtered sunsets in Santorini, I was learning how to move the kind of money her husband pretended to have. By 18, I had my own trust. By 21, I owned 2 of his shell companies. By 22, I'd found what I was looking for, her signature on fraudulent tax files, all in his name but under her digital access. She didn't know I knew, not yet. When I returned home, I didn't call ahead. I walked into the house she'd sold to Mark, the one that used to be mine. She opened the door and froze. "Sweetheart," she said, voice trembling like she'd seen a ghost. "Not quite," I replied. "Just the girl you left at an airport." She tried to smile. "That was years ago. You have no idea what I've been through." I cut her off. "You're right. But I do know what's coming." I handed her an envelope. She opened it, and I watched her face drain as she read. A formal notice of investigation from the federal authorities. Tax evasion, fraud, asset seizure. Her name, her signature, her new husband's companies. It wasn't forged. I didn't need to. She'd signed them herself, blindly trusting the wrong assistant, one I had hired under an alias months before. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. "Because you told me to figure it out," I said, and I did. That night, as she packed in panic, I walked into my old room. Empty, just the way I left it. I placed one last envelope on her pillow. The deed to the house. Bought legally, under my name. When she got back from the authorities, she'd find eviction papers waiting. I stood at the window, the same one we used to watch planes from, and whispered, "Guess who's traveling now?" People think revenge feels like fire. It doesn't. It feels like silence. The kind that follows when everything clicks into place. When justice isn't shouted, it's served, in neat, legal documents. She left me once in an airport with nothing but a suitcase. I left her with nothing but regret. And that was our final boarding call.